Hello and welcome to the Press Room at WCN-TV, brought to you by the Wilson County News. We're your source for community and communication. I'm your host, Julia Weaver, the Marketing and Social Media Specialist here at the Wilson County News. In today's episode, we're covering the following topics. A community-driven benefit to take care of one of Floresville's own, Aaron Schroeb, is planned for March 5th. We're hearing from folks who are organizing the event for the HEB Associate of 15 years. Lavernia High School gained a wrestling team led by Coach Jody Odom in the 2021-22 school year. Now, in its second year of life, the wrestling team is sending a member to the state wrestling tournament as an alternate. You may have read about an incident involving a social media threat at East Central ISD in the February 15th edition of the Wilson County News. In the February 22nd edition, we talked about compromised social media accounts and personal information. Today we're talking social media safety and responsibility with East Central ISD's Director of Marketing and Communications, Brandon Oliver, as the district plans a related educational campaign across all its campuses in early March. You can subscribe to print, digital, or both editions of the Wilson County News at wilsoncountynews.com/subscribe so you never miss an edition of your local newspaper. Feel free to follow us where you're watching today so you're always up to date on the Press Room and our other WCN TV. First on today's show, we're talking the benefit for Aaron Schroeb, planned for March 5th in Floresville. Schroeb has been an HEB specialist at the Floresville location for 15 years and is a lifelong resident of Floresville. Welcome to the Press Room.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
So who are each of you and where might folks know you from in our community?
So my name is Monica Valise. I am the Assistant City Manager for the City of Floresville. You've probably seen many of our postings on our social media page on Facebook, so that's probably where you've seen my face a few times.
My name is Jason DeLeon. I'm one of the store leaders here at HEB. I'm a fellow co-worker of Aaron and just helping out, getting the benefit going and stuff like that. So it's just been awesome.
My name is Ben Reed. I'm the Executive Director for the Floresville Economic Development Corporation, and I got involved with trying to help this community movement or community event happen for Aaron.
Awesome. So who is Aaron and where might people know him from?
Aaron works at HEB. He's one of the maintenance partners. He's been there for about 15, 16 years. Worked with him for all those years. He's not just a coworker, he's family. So just knowing that he was in need of finding a place, so I contacted Ben to see how we can put something together. And
so I know Aaron through my family. You know, as growing up here and being born and raised here and being a hometown person, I've known Aaron since he was young, having kids, and we spend every Sunday at HEB buying gifts. I have 3 boys, so I see Aaron probably every Sunday at HEB, but I see him doing the things that nobody wants to do. I see him, even when I was like sick at one time, I dropped an olive glass container, and Aaron's right there to pick it up. So he's doing that stuff, and he was there during the hard times during COVID, and making sure the store was clean, and that our health and our safety of the community was there for us as we were continuing to shop and get our basic needs. So for us, how we know Aaron is, I know him through just the daily shopping, and every time we do go to HEB, pretty much every week. So.
And I think, like many other community members, I know him because of my shopping within HEB, and it seems like every time I'm in there, Aaron is there working.
Yeah, he's nonstop.
He's always doing something, whether it's picking up old produce to cleaning anything that they ask him to do.
He's my number one guy to go to when I need something done, or he's always willing to come in on his days off.
Mm-hmm.
So he's one of the best workers I've ever had. So it's been awesome working with him.
Amazing. So let's talk about what is he in need of and why?
So I was approached or contacted. Aaron lost his mom very early on in January. She wasn't able to pick him up from work. Found out that she had passed away at her residence. And so one of the things Aaron's in need of was his basic needs, was a place to stay. Currently he's bouncing back and forth, to my knowledge, with some family members. I saw him like yesterday riding to work on a scooter. So like a little scooter type thing. So they call it a razor. And so, one thing that came to mind was that with Aaron and his needs was a stable place to stay. So that's what not the partners, but just his coworkers and people talking about it. And so we were talking about the why. Why do we want to do this fundraiser? Well, that's the why. It's to help with his living expenses and try to get him a stable place to stay as he continues to work at HEB.
Right. So what is your goal for the March 5th benefit?
Hoping to purchase an RV and get a spot right next to the RV park that's right next to HEB, so he can walk to work, and so I and other fellow coworkers can check up on him to make sure he's good and he has everything he needs, and because he's family. He's he's not just a coworker, he's family. So we're gonna take care of him like that, and so we can better take care of him, and that'll help us get him situated, and then it'll be easier for him to come to work.
And I think the main goal of it is to be able to purchase something so that he can have his own place to call home and be able to supply it as well, with his everyday essentials. And like Jason mentioned, something that's close to work so he can go and come, and to where coworkers can also check on him.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So do you have an idea of the monetary value that you're looking at trying to raise?
So what we're looking at right now is we have 1,000 tickets for this upcoming benefit that we're doing. We kind of talked, and I can't thank the city enough. As I was talking about it at City Hall, Monica stepped up without even thinking twice about it. Said, "No, let me see what date we have on the event center," because that's really what we are. Is we're family, and you hit the you spoke that correctly. And in the city, we want to be a family in this. So they found a date, March 5th. So we printed 1,000 tickets for a hamburger sausage wrap. With a brown bag special, I guess. And so our goal is to maybe raise around $10,000, put that in an account for Aaron, so he has a really nice RV he can live in. Like Monica said, I think have the everyday necessities with that as well, and then maybe help towards paying some of his rent for future needs, so he's off on a stable start.
That is amazing. So why should folks consider attending and supporting this member of our Floresville community?
I think it's a great type of community involvement for one of our own. The three of us were raised here, so we came from that small town feeling to we're growing, but we still have that small town feeling. So we always want to be able to give back to one of our own and help one of our own in need. I was always raised, you help someone today because you never know if it could be you tomorrow. So that's basically where I stand in this. We want to be able to give back to him as much as we can. He's been put in a difficult situation, and we want to be able to make it as comfortable for him, as he transitions to this new lifestyle he's having to live.
Absolutely.
And this could not have been done without these guys next to me. I can't thank them enough to the community and everybody involved in this. It's been great, and all the views and sharing of the post of the benefit. So it is overwhelming how big it's grown. So it's just I have no words for it.
Well, speaking of how big it's grown, are you in need of any volunteers, donations, or even sponsors to help y'all put on this event?
So I will say that we have been contacted by the Floresville Lions Club to help out. I know they have a loss of one of their longtime members, Miss LaWanda Noonan Lewis, but they're stepping up. I believe Jesse Ramos and Officer Mitchell had reached out from the Masonic Men's Group, and they want to help with volunteers. But yeah, this event is a community event, and it's open to anybody that wants to come help.
We'll take all the volunteers we can get at this time. Our goal is to be able to provide a sit down to where if they want to enjoy their lunch special, inside the event center, or we want to be able to offer a drive-through service to them as well for those that maybe are just kind of on the go but want to be able to participate and give back in some way. So definitely we're looking for any kind of volunteers. Any donations that are made will of course then go directly to him unless it's something pertaining specifically to the event. We're open to that as well. You can contact any of us. You can contact Ben or myself at City Hall, or any of the partners at HEB Floresville store.
Yeah, so that day we're planning on doing the event from 9 to 2. I assume we'll be there 8 o'clock in the morning and probably work till 3 or till it's cleaned up and leave the facility like we got it that morning. So we actually do have
a local individual that does karaoke. She's volunteered to do her karaoke for free that day to the community from, I believe it's 1 to 4 p.m. that afternoon. So that'll take place there at the event center as well.
Fun. So you
Yes.
stop on in, you stop
Yeah.
to enjoy your meal, you might get a little karaoke out
Yep.
of it.
There you go.
Very
And-
sweet.
And so people, they've been asking how they can also make monetary donations. You can leave a monetary donation at any of these 4 locations. You can leave them there. Here at Wilson County News has tickets for sale. At the Business Center at the Floresville HEB has tickets for sale as well. The front office of the City Hall, at the Floresville City Hall, and then also at our office here at the Floresville Economic Development Corporation, we have it. If you want to make a cash donation, we'll accept it and document that. And also, if you want to write a check, right now we're making all the checks out to the Floresville Economic Development Corporation, and we're setting up an account specifically for Aaron and have that situated to make sure it gets to have everything he needs in the community.
That's amazing. So as y'all get further with your plans and the date nears, where should folks go for more information?
I would say follow Wilson County News social media and follow the paper because they are partners in this with us. I can't thank Wilson County News enough as well. They stepped up and printed all the tickets and even did the time to number them. And I know that's hard because it's like an individual numbering thing. And it saved me from having, or us to have to write to 1,000 on the back of the ticket. So I would reach out to Wilson County News, reach out to any local partner on if you know them on their Facebook page, and then reach out to the City of Floresville and the FEDC Facebook page and social media. We'll be posting stuff as well.
Absolutely. And I know we're also planning a write-up to come out in the next edition of the Wilson County News, so more details on that. Make sure you're
Definitely.
subscribed.
But of course, we invite everybody to come out as it is. We have, a lunch special planned right now with some karaoke. And as the time comes closer, there may be other events that get added, with the type of response we've received here lately.
Amazing.
Yes.
All right.
Keep the ideas coming.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for putting this together for Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you for having us and getting the word out there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We're looking forward to seeing you March 5th.
Thank you guys.
Next, we're talking wrestling at Lavernia High School. The Lavernia High School team traveled to Austin February 11th and 12th to compete in the Region 4 and 5A wrestling tournament. One member of the team, freshman Karis Carpenter, earned a trip to Houston for the state tournament as an alternate in her weight class. Today you'll meet Jody Odom, who coaches the team. Welcome to the press room.
Thank you.
Of course. So who are you and where are you from?
Jody Odom. I'm from a small town called Nocona, Texas, about 25 miles south of the Red River. And it's a really small 2A town. I'm a happily married father of 5 and the head wrestling coach at Lavernia High School.
Very cool, okay. What else do you do at Lavernia High School?
I'm also the assistant in football, and I teach honors world geography.
Very cool. So you've got kind of a a very well-encompassed part in your school. You're a teacher, you're a coach, and
Yes,
so
ma'am.
very involved with your students. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So when did Lavernia High School gain a wrestling team and why?
So we gained the program started in the 2021-22 school year. So this is our second year to have wrestling. And the reason why my family and I moved out to Lavernia during the COVID year. And so, I love the sport of wrestling. And so I wanted to be able to bring that sport and the opportunities that come with it to my new home community and serve the kids there.
That makes so much sense. So what did it take to get that program started? Did you have any challenges?
Well, first, it started with basically just an email to the AD at the time, Coach Tabor, asking him if he'd be willing to kind of take the journey. And then that led to conversations, and then he believed in it and believed in me. So I got hired, he got it approved, and then we kind of hit the ground running. After that, it came down to recruiting the kids.
Right.
So I went and I talked to every sports program and every kid that I could find. And the biggest challenges, really, because I got hired in July, so it was a pretty short time frame.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenges were making sure we got our competition equipment and things on time for the season. But the school district was really great. I mean, they worked with me, and we got things pushed through really quickly, and
Sweet.
we were able to get it going and have a successful first year.
Yeah, there was lots about y'all in the Wilson County News if
Yeah.
y'all didn't see that during the past year.
Which we definitely appreciate.
Yeah, anything we can do. So why did you decide you wanted to coach wrestling?
So I wrestled in high school.
Okay.
I got that opportunity, and then we actually while I was in high school, our coach left, and then our program got canceled
Oh,
because they couldn't
yeah.
find another coach. And at that time, as a student, like I was devastated because I was, all the way in, and I really loved the sport. And so, so as I said, I mean, I love the sport of wrestling. I think it is the best sport on the planet. I don't think that there's another sport that develops a person more holistically than the sport of wrestling. It is it's very much a team sport with a large individual aspect. So you get the dual benefits of serving your team and doing well for your team and elevating your team, while also getting the opportunity to advance as an individual and earn individual rewards for your efforts.
Yeah.
So you do get it's the best of both worlds.
That's really cool. What does wrestling teach you through that team involvement, but also that individual aspect?
So the biggest thing with wrestling with youth is I think it teaches them the value of a determined work ethic and dedication, because for most kids, they start out and they don't know anything about the sport.
Yeah.
And so, but as they learn, you can see and feel the progress as you go from competition to competition, and then they get to start earning those rewards, and they start making it on the podium, and they start getting they get their first pin and first wins and things like that. And so it's a very real time reward system. It also teaches kids sportsmanship. So I mean, in the sport of wrestling, it is a very big component that you have to win with grace and lose with grace.
That makes sense.
So after every match, whether you're won, lost, no matter where it went, you shake your opponent's hand, and then whether you get your hand raised or not, then you walk over and you shake the other coach's hand.
Yeah.
And I mean, every match ends the same way. And so there's not. They have to be able to do both and not be carried away either way.
Right, that takes a certain level of maturity, especially because they're actually physically struggling against each other. That's huge.
And so with that said, the other thing with wrestling is it does increase an individual's self-confidence and their self-reliance, because when they step out on the mat, it's just them.
That's
It's
very true.
It's just them by themselves, and there's no help.
Wow.
So they have to go out there and rely on what they know and their efforts, to get the results that they want. And then as they continue to work and they earn those results, it teaches them that I can do some pretty neat stuff. If I'm capable of doing these things on my own, I don't have to rely on other people. I am able to do. I think it teaches kids that they're tougher than they think they are, and they're stronger than they believe they could be.
Absolutely.
So.
And what a wonderful thing to discover. That all being said, why might someone consider participating in the sport? Who or which kids do you think wrestling is a great fit for?
So the great thing about wrestling is it's a great fit. I think anybody can wrestle. I don't think that there's a specific personality type that it fits best, because I've seen very aggressive kids that come from football and things like that do well in it, and I've also had kids that were really quiet, very reserved kids that were kind of introverts, also do very well. I mean, they may not say 3 words the whole season, but they're able to grow and learn and perform as well. So with wrestling, since it has that, it's an individual effort when you're on the mat. Every person kind of develops their own distinct style,
Right.
that fits their personality. And some people are very straight ahead, aggressive competitors, and whereas other kids are a little more reserved and more tactical or strategic.
Okay.
And so then if it's so you can tailor it to some extent to fit your strengths and accommodate for your weaknesses in some areas. I mean, I've seen kids that weren't very strong beat pin kids that were obviously physically stronger than they are, but you can work around it.
Right. It's about that strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So that all being said, how has the Laverna High School team done over the last? This is your second school year, so the last couple of years.
So the first year we had a really great year. We had huge numbers come out. The girls team ended up taking second overall at the district tournament. At the time, out of 12 teams. So they had a really good year. Our girls team, we had a lot of numbers, which helped us out. And then out of that team, we had 8 girls in the lineup, and we qualified 7 to regionals, and the 8th one was an alternate. So all 8 made the trip to regionals and competed there. The boys team, we qualified that year 4 to regionals and with 2 alternates.
Okay.
So I mean, it was a very good start to the program, and we raised a lot of eyebrows as we were going to tournaments and things as people saw our results, and the kids grew and got better and learned. This year we graduated a lot of kids last year, with it being the first year. Everybody came out, which was fantastic. So a lot of our seniors, especially on our girls' end, a lot of our lineup graduated. So this year we were very young.
Okay.
Most of our for boys and girls, our lineup was mostly freshmen and sophomores.
Wow.
On the varsity level.
Super young.
But despite that, we still qualified 3 girls to the regional tournament. One of them was a district champion. Cecily Anselka won the district championship at 152 pounds. And then on the boys' side, we qualified 3 boys and had 2 boys as alternates to the regional tournament. So it was still a really good year for a very young team. So we have a lot of room to grow. So the future is pretty exciting. And then out of the regional tournament, we did get our final get to make the trip to Houston to the state tournament with Karis Carpenter, who's a freshman.
Wow.
Went as the state alternate for her weight class, so she was able to make the trip, go to the venue, see the next level of competition, get out on the floor, and things like that. So it was a really good experience, and then very shows very good promise for the future next year moving forward.
Absolutely. And can you explain what it means to be an alternate? Do you get to compete when you go? Or?
So to be an alternate, you are the top 4 out of the district or region advance to the next level. So first, second, third, and fourth advance.
Okay.
5th place serves as the alternate. So should any of the top 4 from that district or region not be able to wrestle at that next tournament, then the alternate gets to slide in. So things that would prevent them from competing would be, they get sick or injured in practice, or now if the day of the tournament, they all have to weigh in and make weight. Everybody, it's by weight class, which kind of going back to what kind of kids can wrestle or how does it fit kids. So the weight classes range from, there's 12 weight classes for girls. So it goes from 100 pounds up to 235 pounds. And so you have so it equalizes the size difference that you don't get with other sports.
You don't have a 100-pound girl fighting a 200-pound girl.
Right. Right. So that's
Yeah.
all, 100 pounds or less. Karis was 107 pounds, so she was on, is either 100. So everybody she wrestled was between 107 pounds and 101 pounds. So they have to make weight. So if one of those top 4 are overweight, they don't make the weight, then they don't wrestle, and then the alternate would then take their place to fill that gap.
So it's the top 4 from each weight class that
Correct.
goes. Okay. That makes sense. Cool. So what does it mean for the Livonia High School team that Miss Carpenter went to the state tournament?
I think it's huge because the state tournament seems very big and very far away, and a lot of times you talk about state,
it seems so unattainable.
Right.
Yeah.
And it shows that that it is attainable and you can get there.
Yeah.
And so we had she was alternate. Our other 2 girls that went to regionals got close. They didn't quite make it, but it does show me. And her being a freshman, proves that she's never wrestled before.
Right.
Proves that even in your first year out, it is possible to, go see real, very awesome results.
That is amazing.
So I think it is a very big thing.
Yeah. Well, did you have any observations on the team's attitude or even their performance as the time has kind of gone on since you started?
Their attitude and performance thing it continues to improve. They are always getting better and better. A lot of it comes with experience. So they're all learning more about the sport and have a better understanding of how things are supposed to operate. So that allows for practices to be smoother. And now, moving forward, going into year 3, so we'll have some kids that have 2 years of experience, and so that allows in the practice room for there to be some kind of mentorship, and so the older ones can help the younger ones understand quicker than they did, because the kids that have been here right now, there's been a lot for them, but a lot of trial and error, and a lot of teaching. Like, I don't understand, they get lost, and now as they've gained that experience and maturity in the sport, the new ones coming in will benefit. They'll benefit from that experience because they'll be able to teach them and bring them along. So, awesome. The kids have been great. They always want to learn and are ready to work. So it's been really good.
That's awesome to hear, especially with a new program like this. So are there any resources or methods that you recommend youth, parents, or faculties in other schools take to get a wrestling program started in their area?
The first thing, I think for Texas, the most difficult thing to find is a coach that's willing to do it. Once you find a coach that's willing to step out there and learn and put in the time, then it's just a matter of you can get a mat. You can buy used mats. You have to have a practice surface. But you can get used mats. You can buy them brand new to practice on. The great thing about starting a wrestling program is you don't have to build a new facility.
Okay.
You have a mat that rolls up, and you unroll it, and so you can put it out on a basketball court, and then when you're finished, you can roll it back up, put it away, and the basketball court's still usable. They don't, as far as coaches go, they don't have to have a wrestling background necessarily. When I got my first wrestling job, I had been out of the sport probably almost 10 years.
Wow.
And so there's a huge amount of online resources that are all technique driven and taught by very high level wrestlers and coaches that have put these things together to help grow the sport.
Right.
So you really just have, you got to be willing to get out there and be willing to learn with the kids. And when I got back into it, I was very rusty. And, you get out there and you learn along with the kids, and you're willing to make mistakes and learn from them and grow with them. So, and then, if anybody in the area and have questions, you can email me, call me, and I'll help any way that I can.
Awesome. All right. So where can folks go to learn more about the Livonia High School wrestling team or even keep up with your tournaments other than Section B of the Wilson County News?
So they can like our Facebook page. It's just Livonia Wrestling. They can find us on Instagram or Twitter. My assistant coach, Rachel Goddard, does a fantastic job of keeping our social media presence active and current. She does a lot of really cool things to promote the program and make us as visible as possible. And then come to a home event. Next year's we'll have 2 or 3 home events, and our competition schedule will be posted on the athletics webpage, and we'll be posted on our social media outlets as well.
All right. Well, very cool. Thank you so much for your time today, for telling us all about wrestling, what you've been doing, and good luck to your team as y'all gear up for another season next year.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me, too.
Of course.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
In the February 15th edition of the Wilson County News, we wrote about a social media threat that resulted in the arrest of a minor. Now you'll meet Brandon Oliver, the Director of Marketing and Communications at East Central Independent School District. He's giving us information and resources for social media safety and responsibility. Plus, you'll learn about the related district-wide campaign planned for early March. Welcome to the press room.
I'm excited.
So who are you, where are you from, and what do you do at East Central ISD?
So my name is Brandon Oliver, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at East Central ISD. And we handle primarily all the communications that go in and out of the district to the community that involve social media, or the district's social media accounts, but as well as the website, the communications to parents, press releases, photography, videography. I mean, we do it all. Publications there. So there's a lot to do. It's a big district.
It is, and it's growing.
It is. We're expected to double our population. Definitely increase it by about 7,000 to 8,000 by 2030.
Oh my gosh, and that's only 7 years away.
That is only 7 years away, which, going back to, we just had a bond recently that passed, but, that will be beneficial to the entire district community because it adds more schools, it adds security, upgrades for other buildings that are well needed for it. And so, we need to keep up with the pending growth.
Absolutely, you do. And so as the Director of Marketing and Communications, or MarCom, as it says on the website,
yes.
You must know a lot about social media. So let's kind of talk about social media safety from the point of view of a youth, maybe someone at East Central ISD. What is generally safe to share?
So, first of all, I have to say, in dealing with the district's families and students, I've noticed, we know the different audience breakdowns of social media, the Facebook, they call it old book now, right?
Yeah.
But Facebook is, primarily the parents and the grandparents. Twitter is a little bit mixed, but not so many kids on there. But Instagram, by far as the district's social media goes, is the most popular amongst the younger generation, amongst the students.
Right.
And now there's another one out there, TikTok, but we don't have an official TikTok.
Yep.
But that is equally as popular. And there's some other apps too. But dealing with Instagram and handling the messages and comments and interaction on there, some of the kids that have social media are in elementary school that already have an Instagram account or a TikTok account.
Yeah.
And so, there needs to be a greater emphasis on social media use. I think it's kind of joined in with how the tablet or the iPad has raised kids nowadays.
Tablet kids.
Yeah, they hand them a tablet and they watch YouTube or whatever. The thing about it is that they're delving deeper, and every youth generation has its curious kind that want to pushed that modern technology even further. You know, when I was in school, I'm not going to say when, you know, but, you know, I'll just say Stranger Things does an exceptional job of capturing this generation. You know, we were pushing the boundaries of what was available at the time, you know, the big old videotape recorders and VCRs. We were in charge of programming it, usually for our families, right?
Super fun.
You know, just things like that. You know, we were the first ones that had video game systems, you know, and whatnot. You know, and so every successive generation takes its tech and pushes it even further.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of shocking when you see elementary kids already with an Instagram. And, you know, you do wonder how much responsibility is being taken over the child's Instagram. You know, obviously some things that a child, you know, should not share on their social media is, you know, their location, you know, I would even say photographs, you know, being really careful of, you know, who else is in them, you know, just giving away general personal information. But the really scarier side of that is a lot of these applications have direct messaging.
Yeah.
And so there's an issue with that in the direct messaging where, you know, when you post something that's out there and then there's a couple of comments, and generally you can see that. The direct messaging is, you know, one where they take it even a step further with a personal engagement. And so that's really where a lot of the scary stuff can occur. And, you know, where, you know, a devious entity might, you know, fish for information and try to attain personal information, and even worse. And so, you know, we always advocate for parents that, you know, not only check, you know, the surface of your child's account, you know, see what they're posting, see who their friends are, who, you know, who are they following, you know, but also delve into this direct messaging as well is very important.
Yeah. That makes so much sense, because unfortunately there are predators, and
there are predators, and not only that, but just also in like I said, dealing with the district social media, you know, the kids don't understand their digital footprint that they leave behind. And so what occurs is they think, I mean, even with the district social media account, they'll you know, talk in slang, they'll use curse words, they'll use other things because they think, oh, I'm just talking to some like faceless entity, and, you know, there's no accountability. And so, you know, without, you know, as opposed to face. And so, you know, I mean, most people get braver behind a keyboard, behind a phone, you know, and say things that they probably would not say in person. And kids are no different. And so I'm surprised sometimes when they do message the district's accounts, you know, the types of language that they're using, types of slang that they're using, and that they're not using it in such a way that, you know, they need to understand that this is a digital footprint.
Right.
And so what you direct message somebody, what you post, what you send out has long-lasting effects. And so, you know, it's kind of interesting. And yes, there is a definite predator side, and there's a definite very shady and disgusting side of it. And I think that's been pretty well covered, I think.
Yeah.
But I think what's missing, though, in the social media responsibility talk is the actual engagement between accounts, you know, or between people on, you know, a platform like that.
Right.
And so, you know, you're getting pictures that, you know, might be offensive or might be considered bullying. You know, there's always accounts that we try to shut down that, you know, have pages like, you know, it says East Central Fights or Caught in the Act, right? And so it's like embarrassing photos of you know, kids caught in the act, or, you know, recordings of fights, whether they were on our campus or not in our district, or even dated. So we're constantly running into those accounts and having to try to shut them down. So it's a lot of it isn't just little Joey has a social media account. A lot of them are making fake profiles or making secondary profiles in which to have this kind of, I don't want to say a second life, but kind of, right? Where little Joey has his Instagram account or whatever, that the parents, I could see his friends, or who's following, who she's following, he's following, but they're making little offshoot accounts, and that's another thing that we're noticing becoming more and more of a trend, is those offshoot accounts, and them being reckless with those accounts. And so a lot of it goes into the social media responsibility in terms of monitoring, which we'll get to in a second. Not only what the district can do, because it's a shared responsibility. So not only what the district can do to help, but also what parents can do as well.
That makes a lot of sense. So we talked a lot just recently about social media responsibility. How would you define that, and are there any pillars?
Well, I'll start from social media responsibility. Again, your digital footprint is recorded, right? And so you hear a lot of talk about things being tracked, and I know that there was a conspiracy theory of the COVID vaccination would track you and things like that. But the reality is nothing tracks you more than your mobile device. And, it's even odd, I find sometimes, when I discuss, something with someone, and then get on my Facebook and then scroll, and there's an ad for it.
Yeah, it's super creepy.
And I mean, that's not by accident. And so, there's nothing that tracks your location, your personal information, anything more than your mobile device, right? And it's important to have a mobile device. And I know a lot of parents feel even a bigger sense of urgency after Uvalde to make sure that our child has a cell phone. That way they can reach them at all times. And we certainly understand that. But there comes a time where you need to be responsible of your actions, especially leaving a digital footprint. And so even though you think, I'm just having fun, or I'm just joking, or something like that, it does have consequences. And so it's a shared responsibility. There are tools that the district does and continues to do and bring about awareness of, and should a student cross the line and do something that violates the student code of conduct, or violates the Texas Education Code or the Texas Penal Code, even in some situations, then you're talking legal, right? And you're talking big ramifications at that point.
Absolutely.
But it also in the home needs to have accountability too. And so as we mentioned, I'm a parent myself of a high school teen, and it is easy to give them a piece of technology, iPad or phone, and that keeps them quiet, that keeps them entertained for a little bit, whatever, but there needs to be still responsibility of that particular device. Now the easiest way for a parent to hold their student or their child accountable is to just check the phone, right? And so I'll tell parents a lot of times, it's okay to check the phone. It's more than likely in your name, right? If the child is a minor. And so, it's okay if it because what happens is if a child does something wrong, social media wise or on their device, it's in the parent's name. So when and I could tell you, we just did this recently, and I'm sure you'll probably touch on the subject a little bit, but we've done it recently where we've had to look at at someone's digital footprint and use legal ways in order to obtain that information, and it leads to the parent or grandparent that is the account holder of the phone. And so that's first and foremost. It's just like keeping house, right? If it's your house, you're going to manage it, right? If you, whether it's your own children or you have guests, you're going to manage your home. You're not just going to let the child roam free around their home and paint the walls without any sort of consequence. Well, it's the same thing with the phone. You do, I think, as a parent, and not talking even as a school employee, but just as a parent, have a sense of responsibility to make sure that your child is safe on the phone. Not only are them not doing anything wrong, predators, scammers, things like that, making contact, and just to make sure of that. So that's first and foremost. Is I tell parents it's okay. If it's in your name too, check that phone. Now I know a lot of parents of the older kids do have some issues. Sometimes we'll run into a grandparent that says, my high schooler won't let me check the phone, and they can easily overpower me and things of that nature. We've ran into that, and so there are apps available out there that monitor remotely for the parent or for the grandparent or the guardian that can help with that. There are settings on Instagram that can help supervise that and limit exposure time, and you can see who they're following and who's asking to follow them. So there's various tools out there, and we'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure. And just a quick Google search will show you tools that you can use to monitor your child's devices. So I don't want to say there's pillars per se. I mean, you could probably bring in another social media expert and they would lay that out. I think for East Central, what we're trying to just get across is that it's a shared responsibility, and to make sure that the kids are not getting in trouble, but also trouble is not finding them.
Right.
And it's a responsibility that we all have together. No one's absolved of it. The district is not absolved of it. The parents are not absolved of it. We're all in it together to make sure that the child is taken care of.
We've mentioned some consequences to irresponsible behavior on social media. Can you give a couple of examples?
So, we have, had instances where a child and then again, when you think of social media users, you tend to think high school kids, right? Like that's just kind of the perception is high school kids have Instagram, high school kids have TikTok, and that's not the reality. The reality is there's a lot of elementary and middle school kids that are on Instagram and TikTok, a lot. And so, and they don't have the maturity and the, the awareness to understand, fully grasp the digital footprint and the consequences of their actions.
Right.
And so you'll get a situation where perhaps a child will, I'm just joking, but they'll make some sort of threat to another student, to the campus itself, to an administrator, whatever the case may be. And they don't think anything wrong. I'm just on Instagram. And even maybe under a fake profile, like I said, we were talking about those offshoot profiles. Like there's little Joey's account, but he's got like 2 or 3 other little offshoot ones.
Right.
Thinking that, I can get away with it. And the thing about it is now with the increased scrutiny of school security, and it really started after 9/11, but then the increased school security really pushed this too, is that there is a lot of partnerships within the community that enable us to locate your digital footprint and track you down. Mm-hmm. And so that involves not just the East Central Police Department, and they also do a fantastic job, as well as our administrators. but SAPT, Barrett County sheriffs,
Wow.
and then even going federally, there's the Fusion Center. They're able to, get into and track down information about people on their devices. If the situation calls for it, and it calls for that level. And so even though, they can use someone else's device, or they can, make a fake profile or something like that, they can narrow down to location of the person, to the device of the person, to the messages that were sent out. I mean, now at the federal level and even at the state level, these resources are so advanced that now they're able to, track this down. And so in the past, whereas, perhaps maybe, an elementary kid might be joking, right? And in the past, maybe it was dealt with differently. Maybe, it was just simply calling in the child to, talk about social media responsibility. Now there's full legal consequences towards it, including jail time, expulsion from school, and things of that nature. Whatever is according to the Texas Education Code as well as the Texas Penal Code. And people are wanting, parents are wanting results, right? They don't, it's now reached this level where it's no longer appropriate to just kind of scold the child. Now parents are wanting, I want to, push to the maximum of those two codes. What is the maximum, punishment?
Right.
And understandably so, when you look at all the, mass shootings. Yeah. It's understandable, and you want your school to be safe.
That all being said, you've talked a lot about how East Central ISD is taking steps to teach their kids about social media responsibility and safety. So tell us about this March campaign that you have planned.
So in March, at the beginning of March, the week of March 6th, we're having a social media responsibility week. There's going to be lessons within the curriculum taught that week about social media responsibility. So in the classrooms, they'll be getting lessons about that.
Wow.
Athletics, all the teams and the coaches will be discussing social media responsibility. Because we ran in situations where athletes, abused social media.
Yeah.
And so, so athletics will do that. We'll host a Facebook and a YouTube Live with a legal expert and some counselors and things like that to kind of give a big picture to the entire thing. And then we're also having a grandparents raising kids event. And so they will be going over social media responsibility because, grandparents, probably aren't as tech savvy,
Right.
or if they are, it's just like top of the line Facebook type stuff. And not into the TikTok and Instagram, which is where the kids are going. And there's other platforms too, but we're really focusing on, as a district, Instagram and TikTok. Those seem to be the two most popular platforms that kids, like I said, from elementary through high school, it's not just high school, it's elementary all the way through high school, that are using and misusing. And so, we want to, bring about that awareness, not just to the kids. It's important that the kids learn it.
Right.
But as a community, we've all bond together over this because that's, you always see in the news, when these tragedies occur, oh, well, on the person's Instagram, they had pictures of guns, or they had, what I mean? There's kind of like
There's
almost,
signs.
there was, there was almost like some signs of, of it. And so, if we as a community bond together and say, okay, we need to understand that this isn't just a place to post pictures of your food and, or bathroom selfies or whatever, gym selfies. We need to get past that and past the divisive political discourse that occurs on there. We need to move past that now and say this is really affecting our younger population in ways that, we probably didn't imagine 10 years ago.
Right.
but now is occurring, and that we need to take hold of. But like I said, those are the two main platforms. I mean, there's other ones like Discord and some other ones where like you just message random people, and people can message you. And so, our intention is to, step by step, progressively work on this responsibility, because it's a lot to throw at a parent or a grandparent and be like, here's all the apps that kids possibly use to misuse, and it's a lot, So right now we're focusing on those two, Instagram and TikTok, and there's a lot of information going out about TikTok that it's, of what information is being tracked and being sent where. And that's another thing that they need to keep in mind too, is that, even when setting up their profile, that information is being sent somewhere. So.
Yeah. Do you recommend any other resources to look at in the meantime?
So I have a slide. There's one for Instagram, just literally their own settings. It's supervising on Instagram. And it doesn't cost a thing. And it's easy for the parent to set up, and you could track their usage. You could set up daily limits.
Okay.
So a lot of times kids will they'll go to bed, right, but they stay up another 2 hours, whatever.
Just on their phone under
Yeah.
the blanket. Yeah.
And you could set up daily usage limits, or you could set up times to take a break, right? So there's some tools even within the programs themselves that the parent and grandparents can use. That's on the slide. Okay. Another thing that that you can do is a lot of times within your own phone plan, there's some apps that your service provider already gives you. Some family plans that do location spotting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that you can participate in. Google has a free family monitoring app, and so that one also gives you daily reports of what the child was doing on the phone, and can also give you some additional limitations for the child to use on the phone. And then there's a lot of pay apps. I think I listed one on there called AirDroid. And they're a nominal fee. Usually it's $10 a month or $20 a month. And those ones are, you could get really intense on them, and even down to tracking the child's microphone on the phone. So on a phone conversation, it records what the child's microphone is saying. It will show who they were texting, who they were direct messaging. So a lot of these, the ones that are for pay, are very intuitive in terms of monitoring your child's use on social media.
Wow, all right.
We are going to have more information about our campaign at our website, www.ecisd.net. And, we are not only, we look at this as a week as kind of like a launch, like a kickoff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end at the end of the week. We're going to have a section of the website dedicated to social media responsibility, and we're going to keep adding things and more technology and resources that parents and grandparents and guardians can use.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for all of the information you've shared. I'm sure a lot of parents, grandparents, even kids will find that very useful. And thank you for your time. I know you must be busy.
Absolutely, but this is a very hot topic and a very important topic, and one that as a community, if we all work together, we can curb a lot of the things that are scary.
I agree with that. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's all for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in to the Press Room with WCN-TV, brought to you by the Wilson County News. For more information about anything we mentioned in today's show, see the February 15th and 22nd editions of the Wilson County News, or visit wilsoncountynews.com. You can also find articles corresponding to each topic discussed today in this video's description. Remember to follow us where you're watching so you never miss an episode, and consider subscribing to receive the digital or print editions of the Wilson County News each week. You can find more news or subscribe at wilsoncountynews.com or download our app, Go Wilson, to receive updates from our newsroom at your fingertips. The app is available for Apple and Android devices at gowilsonapp.com. We hope you'll tune in next week for another episode of The Press Room. We'll see you then.